Oh, hello, it's Filibuster here again with another guide. This time I'm doing an Infernal vs Infernal guide in the new patch 0.2.1, I believe. I noticed that I have a pretty good Infernal vs Infernal win rate, so I think I have at least a decently working build for this, so figured I'll start by making a guide on that. The other two matchups are still a bit more unclear to me at this point, so I haven't made any guides on those. So, the first thing I want to make is a worker, and then expansion after the first extra worker. So shrine first, and of course our Hexen is going scouting the enemy opening. I'm just move commanding. I don't want to stop on the enemy Hexen because I just want to confirm what buildings he's making. After that I make more imps, and then I send 2 workers to my natural, so I can make both Vault and Conclave. If I only send 1 imp, there's a chance that the enemy Hexen can be a bit annoying, but when I send 2, I'm pretty sure I can get my buildings on. And I'm confirming that the opponent is opening Vault Shrine. This time at least it looks like it. There could be a hidden building somewhere, but it seems like a reasonable assumption. And that means it's an economic opening, so I don't need to be afraid in the early game. On a map like this, I prefer to make my first meat farm in the forward position, and especially in Boneyard, I want some extra protection on the vision camp, because it also makes it very easy for the opponent to check if I've expanded here if they cap the vision camp, so I want a meat farm here. So there's my imp. And because I saw that the opponent is doing an economic opening, I will want to take a third base fast, probably after I take this slime camp. So I'm just waiting for my production to finish now, and then I will take the slime camp. I mean health camp with the slimes. With 1-1 it's a very easy camp to take. Of course you can take it with just a Vault as well, or just a Conclave, but since you're opening 1-1 anyway in this matchup, it's very easy. And next we will want to take this vision camp where we have our meat farm, so we can protect that, and also it gives a very good scouting position against the enemy. Meanwhile the enemy is actually being very aggressive. Instead of taking their own vision camp, they're coming straight for mine, so that makes things a bit more interesting. And I'm generally putting all the rest of my meat farms in defensive positions, so they will help against Rambies. And of course, if you see the enemy engaging into you, you want to back off a little so that the active creep camp will be hitting the enemy units instead. That's always very nice, they hit very hard. So you can see how quickly this battle turns around. Getting the enemy Hexen, always nice. That was a very good start for me. The enemy committed pretty heavily into that instead of taking their own vision camp. I'm gonna get my own vision camp, but I also killed his army. And I have my third almost finished already. I forgot to mention about starting it. But yeah, as soon as you have the money for it, you'll want to start that. This was kind of a nice snipe from the enemy. For the price of 2 brutes he killed my Hexen, but that's still a fine trade for me. Like, I'm in a pretty nice position now. I mean, he has also lost his Hexen, but he has also lost his whole army. And of course, always when we are expanding to a Luminite Therium base, we want to make the shrine hugging the Therium, because that's gonna give us way more mining, it's a lot more efficient. And we have our ritual chamber on the way, and then we are throwing down more production as well. This is actually a bit late. I usually want to add more production earlier, but just try to make it a bit earlier than I did this time. But generally that's what you want to be doing. I also have my Creator Shrine finishing, but it's not like a huge priority getting that fast in this matchup. It's more important to get your Plague Access. Because you get a lot of Luminite mining, you can make a lot of tier 1 units. So getting the 1 Magmaron is not that big of a priority. And once again our defensive meat farm giving us some value here, taking part in the battle. So that's why it's very nice to have in this kind of forward position, as long as you're confident you can keep it alive. Which in this case I was, because I saw that the enemy is doing an economical opening. So basically he won't have more units than me, that's my thinking. And of course, because this expansion is very detached, I always want to make a fast tower there as well to protect it. So now that I'm capping this, I'm instantly seeing that he's not expanded here. That's why these vision camps are so important on this map. And we're getting our Twilight Spire on the way for that tier 3. While working on Reaper's Rush as well. I've been pushing the enemy a lot, so I figured maybe I can just kill him at this point. Maybe not the best call, like he does have a lot of units, and he is also doing pretty good unit movements, like kiting this Magmadon. So this was not the smartest push, but I'm just leveraging my better economy at this point. And since I see that he has a Magmadon, basically I won't be able to do more damage. So the smart thing to do now would be to just run away with all of my units, which of course I won't do this time. I get a bit too greedy here. But don't worry about that. This battle is actually pretty terrible for me. Because this Magmadon Trample killed absolutely my complete army. But it's still fine because I have a lot bigger economy, so even though I lost most of my army, I'm still far ahead. But the important thing in this matchup is to try to keep expanding. And always stay ahead in the economy. That's usually what matters in the end. And as long as you just make Brute, Gaunt, Magmadon with Plague Access, of course, you don't die too easily. And the longer term goal is going for this Elder Shrine and getting your tier 3 upgrade, especially for Hellborn, but also for Magmadon. And maybe Dragon eventually if the game goes long enough. But I'm not really aiming for Dragon, I just want my tier 3 upgrades. Magmadon is always very good for taking camps as well. So you can see that because I had this one tower there, that's enough to turn away this Rampai, which might have been able to kill a lot of workers otherwise. And we are now also expanding on our forward base. While we have managed to keep the vision tower the whole game, so enemy hasn't been able to use that for scouting at all. He is meanwhile setting up a pretty interesting run by here. I guess the goal is to get in the mineral line with both Infest and Trample and kill everything quickly. I don't usually really prioritize the side camps here. If enemy takes them, I try to take them with Fiends, etc. But I don't usually dive too deep in them. Especially these are very dangerous, because if you are fighting this and the enemy attacks one of your bases, you are so far away from it, it's very hard to defend. That's why I don't usually go for these two bases. The Luminite Towers are more doable. And here we have this run bar, which I think it's a cool idea, but it just doesn't really work this time. And as you can see, the supply difference is kind of starting to grow, because I've had like a better economy the whole game. I have my 4th base pretty much saturated now. While he's still only starting on his 3rd base, not counting the Therium one. Of course the Therium base is also very good, but I usually, especially against Infernal, I don't prioritize that because I just want to make a lot of units and expand more, so more Luminite is good for that. And we are expanding even more on both sides of the map. And again, I kept the vision tower, so I instantly see that he is expanding here. That's why on this map these vision towers are so important. And we have another run by here that again doesn't really manage to find the value, thanks to this loud stone manifest and some extra production that I'm making. So he's setting up a lot of ramp-bys, but because I have towers everywhere, they're not really doing anything. And at this point it's like, honestly it's just kinda over, without even having a decisive fight, because the supply difference is getting so massive. Just a better economy the whole game. And that's pretty much the name of the game. And unit-wise, as you can see, I'm just making Gaunt Brute, Magmadon with a couple of Hellborn with tier 3 upgrade in the back, because they are very good support. And the opponent sees that the game is over, so this has been working very nicely for me in this matchup so far. Of course, my MMR isn't that high yet, but I have like 90% win rate in IVI at the moment. So it's just generally an efficient way to approach this matchup. And of course, if you scout the enemy at the start and you see that they are making like a lot of production, or for some reason didn't take an early expand, so they will be very all in, and then you want to open with a tower as well, just making more production instead of a fast third base, and you'll be totally fine. Like after some testing, I found that Shrine first is 100% safe in this matchup. Like there is no rush whatsoever that the opponent can make that will beat Shrine first. So just focus more on defensive stuff if that happens, and you'll be totally fine. Anyway, that's all for this guide. You can watch me live on twitch.tv/flipaster. And for now, have a nice day.